Hello, this is Mark, and welcome to Tea With. And tonight I'm having tea with an old friend, Kiran. Kiran was a member of the musical communities. He was very active, and as of late, he's been actually doing some of his own things. And Kiran, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I just wanted to offer extended gratitude to even bring me back on the show. So, as you mentioned, I used to be part of the Regional Wealth Group. I still, as I mentioned, I still follow it, but I'm not as active. But one of the things that I've been wanting to do, and one of my passions, is really being a facilitator to help people, go for greatness, strive for greatness, and to find that greatness within themselves. And one of the ways that I'm going about doing that is I have a new blog that I've been running now for about 6 months to a year. It's called Bliss, BLISS, Inc., like is in incorporated, .org. And what I've been doing is posting just useful material that will really help people perform at optimum level, whether it's talking about meditation, whether it's talking about helping rewire your neural pathways. It could be even about eating good foods to perform at an optimal level. So really, it is general in terms of giving people useful information that can help them perform really at peak performance.
Kiran, you really, hit on some very good topics what you're doing over there, and it's very commendable. And I really like that. And before we went live, we're talking about inner peace. I think inner peace really relates to what you're doing over there. So you want to elaborate more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, as we were talking about earlier, I think in one way or another, our nature is what of a peaceful, blissful self. But as we get older, we do kind of stray away from that. And the journey in life is to expand, but also to really touch base with that peaceful self again. So part of me bringing the blog is giving tools that are allowing people to really get in touch with that inner peace, whether it's for 5 minutes a day, for 20 minutes, whatever the case may be. Because if you think about it, when you're peaceful, you're going to perform better, right? You're going to be happier. And who doesn't want to deal with a happier person? So at the end of the day, when you're more peaceful, every level of your life is going to be more productive, more satisfying, more enjoyable, and you're going to be able to contribute more and give back to society greater.
Kiran, one thing that also relates to what we're talking about is the heart. Being heart-centered. And doesn't meditation benefit you getting like heart-centered?
Yeah, I mean, to get heart-centered is really what I would say is to get more in touch with your emotional self, right? A lot of the times, most people are thinking more intellectual. And I even have this challenge at times to get more in touch with your feelings, right? So when you begin to meditate, you begin to slowly over time allow that surface chatter to really kind of subside, right, in the mind. And if you look at a pond, for example, when you throw a pebble in, you see a lot of ripples. However, when you go deeper into that body of water, the ripples aren't as effective. So when you meditate, you are able to go into deeper levels of yourself. And one of the benefits is to become more aware of that heart center, that emotional side of yourself. So that is definitely one of the benefits.
And obviously meditation and, being, heart-centered does require a certain amount of willpower. And meditation does require willpower Is that correct?
I wouldn't say it's willpower. I would say it's commitment, right? So you always have to ask yourself, why are you meditating? What is your why, right? Are you doing it to get more of a relaxation aspect out of it? Are you doing it to reduce stress? Are you doing it to help balance your hormones and just really realign your entire system? You really have to look at the why. Once you figure out that why, it's all about consistency, because willpower is finite, right? Over time, if you keep trying to fight, eating the cookies, and there was actually a study done, right? So what they did is they had these two test groups. They said to one group, don't eat the cookies. They had another group, eat the cookies. And they had these test groups basically, the one study group resist the cookies. Then they had them perform different types of tests. And the people that were asked to resist eating cookies actually performed not as good, because it shows that willpower is finite and it can get depleted. So I don't ever tell any of my clients or anybody that has a question about meditating is willpower. It's about commitment, and it's about going with the flow, because there's going to be days where you might not feel, quote unquote, that you had a good meditation, and there may be days where you are just totally in sync and everything just happens naturally. Either way, though, you need to commit, just like you do with your exercise regimen, or if you do with studying for courses or classes. It's all about commitment.
And also, Kiran, meditation also helps people be at ease, right? If someone is nervous and restless, meditation is a very good tool to help them kind of like get heart-centered, right?
Yeah, that's one of the most benefits that you'll get is if you can get some really good quality meditation in every day, it can even compensate for the benefit that you would get from even sleep, right? So there's several benefits of it. There's the physical, there's the mental, where you're able to focus, you're able to be more clear. It helps you with your goals, but then it also helps you more on the heart center, the spiritual level, those type of things as well, because you're able to reduce some of the chatter and get to really in touch with the direction that you need to go in life. Maybe some clarity, some wisdom, these type of things. And that does happen over time.
And another thing I want to point out too, and I push you to elaborate about it, is remaining in the present moment. How is that beneficial?
Well, if you any text that you read from any of the wellness or health wellness or performance experts, they're always, even in the ancient texts, they always talk about being in the moment, right? Because technically that's all there is. The past is a memory and the future is just kind of more of a thought. So when you're really truly in the moment, that's when you can truly have the fullness of the experience of life, right? Typically, most people will either sway back and forth to thinking about the past or contemplating the future or projecting worries about what could happen in the future. But if you really want to experience life to its fullness, or get into maybe what you call a flow state, is just to be fully present, just in total emergence of what you're doing, whether that's reading a book, playing with your kids, cooking, whatever the case may be. Fully experience it in the moment, right? And you will get that full benefit, that full experience out of it.
Kiran, in meditation, what thoughts do you have about like the third chakra?
Well, I can only talk about my personal experience, right? Because if you look, you're going to see so many different things. Third eye, Agnya chakra, whatever the case. The pineal gland is where it's basically located more on the physical aspect. From everything that I've read, it is about being able to to see things that you might not be able to see, right? Maybe on a person, a situation, those type of things. My experience with the third eye, from some of the practices that I've done in the past, nothing to relate in terms of like wow moments or aha moments, but there's been different mantras that I've done where you will feel vibrations within that center. And in order to fully develop that center, it takes a lot of time, right? Because you're going through a process of awakening it. You know, mostly children have that third eye open. They'll say they see a playmate, they see maybe another entity. So what do we typically tell them? Oh, stop! You're seeing things. You know, and then over time, that kind of shuts down. So through meditation, if you're focusing more on the third eye, over time you can help awaken it, and then you can be able to see things in terms of maybe beneficial outcomes or routes that you should take personally. You might be able to see auras a little better. So, I mean, and again, this is kind of like woo-y kind of stuff, but those are some of the benefits of the third eye. I can't say I've experienced any of them because I haven't.
Kiran, you're right on point, and I really enjoy this cup of tea. I'm actually having a cup of chamomile tea. It's my favorite tea to have at night. I really enjoy it. It's actually very relaxing. It helps me sleep and everything. And as we're talking about meditation and being in the present moment and heart-centered and the chakra, third chakra, you know, we come across our higher self. How would you define higher self, Kiran?
I would say being in that present moment, you know, when you're fully encompassed in that moment, you're in a sense in your higher self. I mean, again, I want to provide practical, tangible, realistic goals for people. I don't want to get too more into the mystical side of things, but the higher self is really being fully present, right? Experiencing that moment in its totality. That's what I would really consider more of the higher self.
How about love? Because love has to really be a very important factor in the work that you're trying to do. Is that correct?
What do you mean by love in the work I'm trying to do? Like, yeah, clarify for me, would you?
Yes. You're helping. You want to help people with, like, you know, getting sent to ease with themselves, meditation, and love has to be, or at least in my case, you know, I think that if I love what I'm doing, it carries over to other people. People can feel that love, you know? So in terms of the work that I do, if I put love into it and I love what I'm doing, it makes it easier, you know, and it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, so when it comes to the blog and working with different people one-on-one and some of the programs that I'm currently developing, it's interesting. I don't look at it in the context of love. I look at it more in the context of really enjoying and providing something, a service, a product to someone, to multiple people. They're going to be able to take it and improve the quality of their life. So love is kind of a term that can be used very broadly, right? What I look at it, at least from where I'm coming from, is I'm passionate about it because I try to implement it, and I try to implement it on a daily basis. And these are the benefits that I've seen from it. And if it's working for me, it can work for you too. So I want to be able to give that knowledge with my voice to really guide and to lead people to either discovering it, helping them uncover it, or even giving them that thought like, maybe I need to look at my life in a different perspective, right? That kind of thing.
Well, Karan, I really enjoy, talking to you and everything like that. And actually, I'm getting a lot out of this. And one thing that had, that you sound like, I think is a very good quality is I feel that you're a very nurturing person. And can you elaborate about how nurturing is important to you?
Yeah, and what I would call, what you might interpret as nurturing, I would probably say maybe positive reinforcement, right? And I'll give you a great example is someone from my job actually sent me a message saying, thank you for making all of these posts. It's actually motivated her to start writing again, right? So that was positive reinforcement to me. It was one person that took the time that did that. And that was really, it came from a good place, and you just felt like, wow, this is what it's about, right? This is what I'm trying to do, is give these moments or the tools to achieve whatever it is that they're doing, right? So that's kind of perspective I take it from. It's positive reinforcement. It's getting a comment on your blog about, wow, this is really fascinating, or I can see how I do this and I need to do this. So again, that you might look at it as more nurturing, positive reinforcement. It's essentially the same thing, but that's what really, and again, when I started the blog, it wasn't to get this, right? It wasn't, my goal wasn't to get a comment or a response. My goal is to really just give as much valuable information as possible, because I enjoy learning. And one of the things that really sets me on fire is being able to teach them something that I've learned, especially something that I've been able to either apply and see the results personally.
And you are certainly doing a good job. I'm very impressed with your work, and, I see you putting a lot into it. But one thing that we all have at a certain point is we have like these ego identification that bring up probably some false facts that could help, could hurt us. Do you have any types of clearing mechanisms that work for you for these like ego, false information?
I think there's a couple things. Number one, meditation again, right? Kind of dispel, and you get dissolved through meditation to see what your true intentions are. Also, just life in general. So if I'm posting something or I'm talking about something that I'm not genuine about, or it's just a bunch of BS, intuitively I'll know, right? So that in of itself is not a clearing mechanism, but it's listening to that inner guide tell me what's right, what's wrong. Now, whether I go with it or not, that's completely different, right? I mean, we always have that inner voice. So not so much necessarily a purifying method outside of the meditation aspect, and also your family. Usually, at least if you have a supportive support system around yourself, they'll usually give you really critical and positive feedback to help you, whether it's your business, whether it's your life, whatever goals you're trying to accomplish, so those are some really key factors that I try to be mindful of. And I'll be the first one to tell you that sometimes I'll get some constructive criticism and I'll fight it. I'll say, no, that's not true. That's not, you know what? I'm not listening to you. I'm not hearing it, whatever. However, I'm also taking that criticism with me, And I kind of do contemplate on it. And then maybe an hour or 2 hours later, whatever the case may be, I then go ahead and move forward and say, you know what, you were right. And maybe I need to do this, this or that. So there's a whole bunch of things. But broad sense, it's just life in general, technically, is that factor to help purify you and to give you the wisdom that you need to move forward.
Well, Kiran, you certainly have hit on some major topics here. And in the beginning, when you're talking about stuff you're doing, you would mention something about, healthy eating.
Yeah.
And the digestive system is something that's pretty important, right?
It's extremely important.
And how does what you were talking about earlier on relevant to attaching to one's higher self?
Well, at the basic level, if you don't feel good physically, it's going to be a challenge to really get more in line with the moment, with gratitude, with appreciation, right? Because you're not feeling it. You're feeling like crap. Then what do you typically do, or what most people typically do, is they'll try to find a substance to either cover up that feeling of low energy or sadness or whatever it is that you're currently experiencing. So when we start doing that, that has a major impact on your focus, your concentration, your enthusiasm, and then your overall health, right? So one of the key aspects to optimal health is your gut, right? There's a connection between the gut and the brain even. So one of the key things that you really want to make sure that you're focusing on when you're trying to get into more of an optimal state of health, or if you're already there, is making sure you're eating the proper foods, right? Proper foods that are going to help support your gut, whether that's more of a prebiotic and a probiotic foods, whether it's being hydrated, whether it's meditation, whatever the case may be. There's so many aspects, but food is the number one thing. If you're looking to really make a change in your life, make some key healthy options, the number one thing I always tell people is start beginning to be mindful of what you're putting in your system. That is the most important thing. If you have a beautiful BMW, Mercedes, whatever car you're driving, you're going to put the best optimum fuel. You're going to put the synthetic oil. So why would you treat your body any different?
Kiran, this is really, really going well. And, I'm really enjoying everything you're saying. I'm actually learning from this as well, because I was talking about with my wife. My wife always gets on me about my eating habits and, digestion. And, I am going to watch, because I do believe what you're saying, having a healthy diet leads to a healthy life. And you can connect better with your higher self if you're feeling healthy and fit, as opposed to being sluggish. And I like the analogy you use about the car. You get a fancy car, you want to take care of it, but our body we take for granted.
Right.
So we're ingrained with these certain habits that aren't really always beneficial. So how does one overcome habits that aren't beneficial? What advice would you say?
You got to start with small incremental changes, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. Your body wasn't built in a day. What you need to do is first become aware that you want to make the change, right? And then again, I always go back to the why. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to feel better? Are you doing it to look better? What is your why? When you get the why, then you're able then to go ahead and start slowly and methodically implementing specific healthy eating patterns, healthy thinking patterns, healthy breathing patterns. That's going to then results over time into more optimum health. So it's always slower. So for example, if you're trying to eat more healthy, right? And you would be honest with yourself and you say, I'm eating 3 unhealthy meals a day. I'm not going to tell a person to say, okay, well, you need to change all 3 of those meals. No. I'll say, well, why not start with replacing 1 meal, right? Replacing 1 meal, and then what you want to do is take notes on how you feel after you've eaten that meal, right? See how you feel. Do you feel more optimal? Do you feel kind of the same? And tinker with that. Once you see the result and the benefit of eating it, then there'll be that trigger. Maybe I can, let's see how I do with 2 meals now. So you're slowly putting in good stuff into your processes, and the negative or the unhealthy stuff will slowly start to, be removed.
So take it small and be easy on yourself. So I like that. It's really good, practical, sound advice that really anybody can actually use. And Karan, I like the whole motto, like keeping things simple, because I think a lot of us, we try and do too much, and then we get ourselves inundated and we give up. So I really like that practical approach, like keeping things simple and just like really just keeping it simple. I'm going to read an affirmation that I think is relevant to what we're talking about, and it pretty much covers every single thing that we just discussed. The affirmation is, I place my personal power in the service of the heart, and my will is willing to do as the heart desires. I'll say it again. I place my personal power in the service of the heart, and my will is willing to do as the heart desires. And that really relates to what you're doing. You want to elaborate about that?
Yeah, well, affirmations are only effective as how much you believe them, right?
Yep.
So you can say, I'm a millionaire, but that mind and you physically are saying, no, I'm not, right? So I wouldn't say, for me, it's taking the skill set that I know that I do really well and taking things that I'm extremely interested in and combining the two. So I'll give you a good example is prior to starting the blog, not a good writer at all. I would sit in front of the computer and it would just go blank, and you would hear the negative self-talk of, can't write. You can't, you don't, you're just, that's not your skill. And what happened was being persistent, right? Just keep going at it, and just really putting your thoughts, what you enjoy on paper. It actually did finally translate over well to the blog, right? So one of the things that I always suggest people is it's not necessarily just finding the things that you're good at, but also things that you enjoy. And when you can really combine the two, that's when you can really have a winning formula. And again, it's not going to be a success overnight. It's not going to be, $1 million boom. It's not going to be touching millions of lives. However, over time, if you're persistent, right? And that's what I tell my kids all the time. I just tweeted, a black belt is a white belt that never gave up, right? Because they're in this mixed martial arts. And it's the same thing in life, right? It's being persistent, but following. And I'm not cool with the whole following your passion stuff. I don't know. I think that just sounds like a pie in the sky. However, I would say look for things that you're truly interested in, and then go ahead and look for ways. in which you can offer that as a service or a product or something to that effect.
Karan, you nailed it. You nailed this whole interview. This has been a great Tea With show, Tea With Karan. And before we close out, I just want you to quickly, tell everybody, how they can find you again and a little bit more about the stuff that you're doing, okay?
Yeah, sure. Appreciate that. So my first name is Kiran, Kiran. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. My blog is blissinc.org. I'm also on LinkedIn. So pretty much all of the social media as outlets is where you'll be able to Pinterest, those type of things. So I'm really in the process of getting more content out. I'm also working on programs. The first program that I'm working on is called Detoxing the Mind, which is going to be a course on detoxing the mind out of negative thinking and really being able to perform at a high level more consistently. So I'm working on that as well. So those are really the areas in which you can reach me, look at my work. I'm always open to feedback, that kind of stuff.
Awesome job, Karan. I'm very proud of you and happy for you. And I wish you the best of luck with everything, because you definitely are a great guy. And I really hope good things happen. So we're going to sign off. And you want to say goodbye to everybody?
All right. Thanks for everyone joining.